If you'd told me 5 years ago I'd end up in a war with the HOA over my family's land, no less, I would have laughed in your face and told you to go bother someone else with your soap opera drama. But here we are. It's wild, really, how something as simple as an envelope in the mail can knock your whole world sideways. That's exactly how this started. Cool autumn morning, coffee steaming on the porch, dog asleep at my feet. The mailbox clangs. And there it is, a fat envelope stamped official. HOA letterhead staring up at me like it knew it was about to ruin my day. I've had my share of run-ins with the HOA, petty fines, a fight over a garden shed, but this was something different. When I pulled out that letter, I could feel the hair on my neck stand up. Notice of unauthorized sale of property. I thought I was reading it wrong. Had to squint, read it 3 times, even held it up to the light like maybe I'd spot a hidden joke. Nope. It spelled out, clear as day. 2,200 acres of land, my family's land that's been in our blood since before anyone cared about home associations, had been sold. Without me signing a thing. Sold out from under me, to a private developer. I swear, for a second, I couldn't breathe. Let me back up a sec. This wasn't just land, This was where my grandfather taught me how to bait a hook, where my daughter learned to ride a bike, where the family dog's buried under the old oak tree. You get it. Its roots, history. And now, with one piece of paper, all gone. You ever get so mad you actually feel calm, just for a minute? That's where I was. Then the panic set in. I called Frank, my lawyer, a guy I trust with more than just legal stuff, and barely got the words out. Frank, they sold my land. Illegally. I need you. Now. We met early the next morning. Frank's the kind of guy who looks like he's never been surprised in his life, but when he read that letter, I saw it, the tiniest flicker. He started grilling me for details, then got right to work. We need everything. Deeds, titles, county records, all of it. Somebody forged something, somewhere. He was right. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that people like that HOA board, slick, always smiling, always promising they're just looking out for the neighborhood, they know how to cover their tracks. But I wasn't going down without a fight. Thing is, this wasn't just about me. I started hearing whispers. Turns out, I wasn't the only one. Another neighbor, old-timer named Ruth, showed up at my door clutching a crumpled letter, tears in her eyes. They took my lakefront lot, too. Sold it to some developer. Said it was for the good of the community. I could feel the anger in my chest twist into something sharper. This was bigger than one person's land. The HOA was running a game, flipping property for millions, covering up their own messes. And folks like Ruth, like me, were just collateral damage. That's when I started digging, calling in favors, chasing paper trails that seemed to vanish just when I thought I had something. But you know what they say, follow the money. I found out the HOA's been selling off prime lots, under the table, to a string of developers. The sales funded their champagne parties and bailed out their half-built clubhouse. They thought no one would notice because, hey, who pays attention to HOA board minutes anyway? Well, I do. And when you push people like me and Ruth into a corner, we start fighting dirty, too. Frank and I came up with a plan. The more I looked at what they'd done, the more I realized, if they could game the system, so could I. The board wasn't ready for that. While Frank went through the legal backdoors, subpoenas, public records requests, I started talking to the one person the board never thought would turn, an old HOA treasurer named Joe. Joe had seen it all, and the guilt had started eating at him. He handed me a folder full of emails, signatures, and secret meeting notes. The kind of stuff that would bury people if it ever got out. Now, here's where things got twisty, because just as Frank was prepping our big legal move, the board tried to buy me off. No joke. One night, HOA President Henry, smarmy, perfect hair, handshake like a dead fish, knocks on my door with 2 guys in suits behind him. He offers a settlement. Money, hush agreements, the works. Says, we can make this go away, for the good of everyone. I told him to shove it, more politely than I felt. That's when he got nasty. You don't know who you're messing with, he hissed. Yeah, that happened. I won't lie. Part of me was scared. These guys had power, money, friends in high places. But another part of me was done being pushed around. So I doubled down. We leaked documents to the local news. Frank lined up a lawsuit. I started knocking on neighbors' doors, one by one, showing them what the HOA had done. It wasn't just about land anymore. It was about justice, about stopping a crew of bullies who'd gotten away with too much for too long. Suddenly, the story exploded. Reporters at my front gate, neighbors waving copies of the paper in the street, folks who never talked to each other comparing notes, sharing stories of threats and intimidation from the board. The pressure started to work. City Hall opened an investigation. State AG got involved. Even some of the developers started sweating, realizing they'd bought stolen goods. The board? They panicked. Tried everything: smears, fake social media accounts, late-night threats, even calling my employer to get me fired. That's when it got personal. One night, my sister called, voice shaking. "There's a car parked outside my house. Someone's been following me." The HOA had shifted from legal games to outright intimidation. That's the thing about bullies. When you stand up, they get desperate. I sat my family down, told them what we were up against, told them I wasn't backing down, but they needed to be ready. Then came the meeting, the big showdown. Packed room at the community center, press squeezed in the back, neighbors standing shoulder to shoulder. Henry tried to talk his way out, paint me as a troublemaker, but folks had seen the evidence. When I stood up and laid out what they'd done, showed them the emails, the forged signatures, the missing money, you could feel the room turn. It was electric, like everyone woke up at the same time. "You stole from us," I said. "You threatened our families. This ends now." They tried one last trick, filed for bankruptcy, hoping to wipe the slate clean, duck out from lawsuits, keep the dirty money. But Frank was ready. We'd anticipated every move. We pushed for criminal charges: fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. When the verdict came down and Henry and his cronies were hauled off in cuffs, it was like the whole community let out a breath they'd been holding for years. You'd think that'd be the end, right? Land back in my name. HOA dissolved, the sun shining again. But you know what? The victory was sweet, but it came with scars. Relationships tested, late nights full of worry, the realization that standing up for what's right is never easy or clean. I changed. My family changed. But as I walked my land again, the creek, the old oak, the fields golden in the morning, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: pride. Thing is, people like those board members, they count on you to stay quiet, to look away, to believe you're alone. But you're not. When you stand up, others stand with you. That's how communities change. That's how justice happens, one stubborn, relentless step at a time. So let me ask you, what would you do if it was your land, your family, your story? Would you fight, even if it cost you everything? Or would you walk away and let the bullies win? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me what justice means to you. And hey, if you've ever been in a fight with the HOA or anyone who thought they were untouchable, share your story. Let's see whose side you're on.